I just wanted to lay down a little bit of flat black. I mean, not that you're going to see this, but I'm going to know it was all kind of rusty and crappy looking underneath. So we'll just paint the dust covers and around the spindles there. And then we'll tarp it up because we're supposed to get a lot of snow tonight. So I really want to get the brake shoes and all that on there, and I don't want to have to sweep snow and ice out of here. So we'll tarp it up before we call it a night. There, 10 minutes and a $10 can of Trendclad, and she looks like new again. Well, not quite, but she looks better than she did. But I think that was worthwhile. I don't like leaving things rusty. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and throw the tarp on it and cover it up before the snow starts.
Hold my hat!
My hat blew off, Daddy.
I hope your goddamn head was in it.
All right, we went and spent a little bit of money because sometimes on these projects you got to keep moving forward and keep putting new stuff on or they'll never get done.
Things you own end up owning you.
So, we got a little care package from Fort Garry. Well, first off, we'll get this guy up. Oh, nice shiny new drum. Heavy buggers. This 3141 drum that's machine steel, obviously. There's they usually put a coating on the insides there that we'll have to use brake clean to get off. But I just like going with new drums, and you can get them cheaper. These ones are a little more money. With brakes you don't want to cut corners. So unfortunately they didn't have 4 in stock. They only had 1, so they had to put a bunch on back order. But at least we'll be able to we'll do up one wheel with the brakes, the chamber, and all the other good stuff. So there's the 3141, and you'll see this is the old drum with the hub that was seized to it. So Conmet was actually able to take the part number from the original build sheet at Kenworth, and they found a new hub that'll still be stud pilot, which is the whole bud lugs and all that other stuff, so it'll match the other 3. So they've got that on back order. That's going to be about a week to come in, so I got to wait for that one. But the deal is it's a different hub or a different drum, so I also got to get a different drum for that one. So I guess it's a 1/4 inch smaller, but whatever, we'll make it work. So that's good to know that Conmet could still get those hubs. So when I do the Iron Duke project, they actually have a conversion that goes to the newer style hub with instead of the stud pilot, it's the hub pilot, where I can actually put newer wheels on there. So that's probably what I'll go with for the Iron Duke. But it's good to know that there's companies out there that make conversions to the newer style hubs for these old 70s trucks. So anyway, that's the drum. Now let's see what we got in here. Okay, they sure packed it up well. Okay, all right, our new tanks. Right on. Okay, these are new air tanks because the old ones, if you remember the earlier episodes, I couldn't even move the truck because they had pinhole leaks in them. So then I threw the old steel tanks from LBL on there to at least move it around, but we're not going to go with old rusty tanks. So I bought brand new ones. They've got tons of ports. They got 3 on the top. They got 3 or 4 on the end. So that's just great. We probably won't need all of these ports, but it's nice to have them. I always say it's better to have it, not need it, than need it and not have it. So we can put those new Fairview fittings in there, and then we can run all the lines in. I've also got some new bolt brackets to mount them. They actually mount in behind the fuel tank, so we'll do that later as well. And that'll allow us to start dropping all those new lines. I believe these are our new brakes. And I was surprised. They actually, Fort Garry's pretty mint because they do a core credit. So I took all those old mouse nest infested and hornet nest infested brake shoes, and they gave me a credit. I think it's only like 25 bucks a set, but that's still better than nothing, and it helps to offset the cost of new. There you go, some nice new brake shoes with all the goodies and springs. So we'll mount that in as well. Like I say, at least we can do one of them. And then what do we get here? These are probably our slack adjusters. Okay, yeah, so we got one more air relay valve that I needed. We got the bearings, because I'm going to put new bearings when that new Conmet hub shows up. It's funny because the new hub's going to come with races installed, but without bearings. So you still had to buy bearings. And the bummer is, when you buy a new bearing, it comes as a kit with a new race anyway. So I guess I'll have extra races for the next truck. And then here are 5.5-inch slack adjusters. So they got the 2 holes. I think the shorter is 5.5, and that's probably 6.5. And then yeah, so again, as I mentioned, I still want to go manual. I don't like the automatics. I'm kind of old school that way. And so we'll get that on there. It's the fine spline, and then we'll put the right amount of washers on that S-cam shaft, and yeah, we'll get that set up correctly. So we've got lots of parts to install. So let's get at it.
You talk a lot.
All right, so I just shot some grease in there because I want to make sure that we push out any water or dirt. I want to have that fully greased before we put this together. Now's the right time. So that looks good. And then here's the slack adjuster. And as I was saying, this adjuster nut here, you just push this in to release it, then you can turn it. But essentially what's happening is it's just a little worm gear, and it can turn the inside splines. So you can adjust your slack adjuster, as I was saying, as your brake shoes wear. You can just bring the slack back in, and that way when the brake chamber push rod pushes on it, it's pushing it the right amount to apply it to the drum. So that's basically how that works. Now again, there is automatic ones that are supposed to automatically adjust, but as I said, I'm still old school, and I like, before I take it for a drive, each day you do your walk around, I don't mind crawling under and just making sure my brakes are within adjustment. So what we usually do is you go till tight, and then you back off a quarter turn when they're worn in. But when they're new, I like to back them off a half a turn because they got to kind of wear in the new shoes to the new drum. But essentially, this goes on there just like that. I'm going to get some anti-seize, and then we'll get the washers that act as spacers to keep this nice and tight, because there's an oil seal in there to keep grease from coming out around your brakes. And that's how that'll work. Then we'll put the chamber on there, cut the rod to the right length, and connect it up. So again, very simple system how this all works. Okay, next, because this is so close, I'm actually going to uncage this because we don't need it caged anymore, and that way the rod will come out a little farther and we can cut it off. Okay, and we'll take our cage bolt out. That's our caging bolt. That back in there. Some dirt in. Okay. And we'll release it, and you'll see the rod come back out. There you go. All right. So you saw in the previous video, We did all the measurements from 90 degrees from that S-cam shaft, and then we subtracted out the dimension between the center line and the inside of the clevis, so that's that. And then you subtract out 1.5 inches of stroke for a 30-30 brake chamber, where that's kind of the usable stroke. So we're going to cut it off there, and then we're going to mount this guy something like that, and hopefully that's in the right spot. Again, we're trying to have more than 90 degrees between the push rod and the S-cam. So anyway, well, hopefully we marked it out right. Let's do a zip cut and we'll start putting this guy together. My air tools don't like working in this cold weather. I think I got a little bit of ice in the line because I just not getting enough horsepower. So we'll maybe let the air build again and try it again. The joys of working outside. That actually installed pretty easy. And you can see where the pin came through there. The cotter pin was a little crooked, so I had to monkey with that. And then I had to add one more washer. I'm gonna go and get some new washers because all I got is these old rusty ones. So for the other three, we'll do it right, but I just wanted to demonstrate what I was doing here. So, but that should work. And yeah, now we can put the brake shoes on and adjust this up, and it should be just right. Okay, so next we'll do the brakes. I have to say, the semi trucks are so straightforward. They're even easier than a pickup truck because you don't necessarily need fancy tools to put them together. It's nice if you have them, but if you don't, you can always make it work. So this guy just goes in here like that, and it becomes the connection point between the top and the bottom shoe for this heavy spring. Now, there's two ways you can do it. You can either connect the top and the bottom together on this side and then clamp it around, or connect these guys and clamp it around that way. And then I like to use a crescent wrench to just lift up on this side and then put in the little wheels. So the wheels are pretty straightforward. They've just got these fancy clips. They just kind of hold them in place. And then so as I lift this up, I'm just going to put that in place and then just give this a pull, and it'll snap into the, if I can do it here, it'll snap into the holes. But again, we're going to put those in after, so we'll take that out. And then these springs just connect the top and the bottom, and they go around the pins that are already in the assembly. And I'm actually going to reuse those because they're just going to be a bear to get out of there. Now, as long as you don't have any significant wear on the outer part of the ring or the support, I think they're fine to reuse, and I don't see any on there. So we'll go ahead and just use those because, like I say, they'd be tough to get out of there. I don't really know if it's worth banging on that backing plate just to swap them out. Okay, let's put these on the truck. Ooh, Sandy Seas doesn't spread well in this temperature. Put a little on those pins just to make sure that those guys still rock on there. Now we'll put the shoes together. The internal spring, like so, and then we'll just drape it around. There's one. Just past the S-cam. Something like that. Just wraps around. Okay. Now the fun part is getting these little springs in. maybe I should go buy the right tool. I never said I was a professional, folks. There, like that. Get in there. Get in there. Nope. There, one down. Yeah, sometimes those springs can take a little playing with. So I'm going to do this full time. I should probably invest in the proper tool for the job. Okay. I'll put these little rollers on there. And again, it's never a bad thing to use a little bit of anti-seize. You want this stuff to not weld itself together. Everything should continue to move and roll in order to work properly. Man, this stuff spreads just terrible in this weather.
The molasses in January.
Now, the trick I like to use for these guys, the crescent wrench trick. We're just going to pry up, put the roller in. Okay, something like that. Okay, snap the ring in. Now it's not quite in its spot yet on the S-cam, so we'll just move it over a little. There. Something like that. And we'll do the same to the bottom. You want to be careful because you're introducing some pretty good pinch points here. Keep your fingers out of the line of fire. Okay. There, something like that. Press our S-cam a little. You see, as it pushes out, it lifts the top and the bottom equally and pushes out against the drum and stops the truck. Okay, I'll take this right down to the minimum so we can put the drum on. But I think that's pretty much it. Just take one last look. That guy could probably be moved over. Yeah, maybe I'll adjust that to the middle. Let's see with my dirty old glasses. Yeah, that looks good. Rings are all on there. Okay, let's get that heavy drum, grab it and throw it on there. And as I was saying, they've got kind of a coating on there that you want to make sure you clean off. Oh, I'm so tired of working in the snow and getting snow everywhere. Okay, hey Peg, I found another use for brake clean. It's not just meant for starting old Ford diesels. Oof. Breathe deeply. Oh, that snow in there is just going to be lovely. I'm making rust. You get it as clean as you can, and then maybe we'll blow it out. good. Like that, like a glove. So now we're gonna set the brakes. Now, in order to do this, you need to have this at the 0 position, all the rods all the way back. And the only way to do that is to actually have air. So when your truck's fully aired up, you would hit the yellow parking brake and you turn it off on the dash, and that would send air to all these parking brake springs and relieve the spring and relieve the brakes. And that's when you want to make the adjustment. So you want to make sure when you do that, the wheels are chalked and fully blocked, so you can't, the truck's not going to roll on top of you. So of course the truck's not ready to run right now. We got no air lines and it's a mess. So we're going to simulate the air to turn off the brakes. Okay, so that brings the rod in and overpowers this spring. And so there, it can turn freely. Now we want to set the initial adjustment. So you want to go to where it's tight. Right about there. And then, as I was saying, the initial brakes I like to do about a half turn off of full, and then normally once it wears in, then you just do a quarter turn. So now we'll go the other way and we'll do 2 quarter turns. There's a quarter and there's a quarter, so that's half off. So again, turns freely, and now we're going to step on the brakes essentially, or dynamite the brakes and set the park brake. Pushes it out. And it's locked. So this guy's an initial adjustment. Got to put a little grease in there, and of course run some air lines. But I think this one's done. So we just got to do this 3 more times. Fun.
Thanks for the ride, Bandit. Good luck tapping some of that hot Sally Field tail.
Knock it off. I don't like it any more than you do.